how the U.S. is destroying young people's future. I've watched a little bit of this, and I can agree with a lot of it. The guy is Scott Galloway, and I've seen him on CNN doing some of the same. He talking about the same stuff, but on this, he more is presented better to me. You know, on CNN, he was just talking about it, and on this, it's a TED Talk, so it's presented in a very good way. So I hope we can all get a lot out of this, you know, because I know I did. So you should be able to get a lot out of this on how the U.S. is really destroying young people's future right now. It's because I'm gonna let him explain it. I'm going to let him explain it. Let's get straight into this thing.
I start us with a question. Do we love our children? Sounds like an illegitimate question, right? Well, I'm going to try and convince you otherwise. Essentially, as we go down generations, we're seeing that for the last 2 generations, people are making less money on an inflation-adjusted basis. In addition, the cost of buying a home, the cost of pursuing education continues to skyrocket. So the purchasing power, the prosperity is inversely correlated to age. Simply put, as we get younger, we're taking away opportunity and prosperity from our youngest. The social contract that is now no longer in place, and for the first time in the U.S.'s history, a 30-year-old is no longer doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. This is a breakdown in the fundamental agreement we have with any society, and it creates rage and shame. As a result, people over the age of 55 feel pretty good about America, but less than 1 in 5 people under the age of 34 feel very good about America. This creates an incendiary. Righteous movements, cuts to our society end up becoming opportunistic infections because generally speaking, young people have a warranted envy, they're pissed off, and they're angry that they don't enjoy the same spoils and prosperity that were provided to our generation. A decent proxy for how much we value youth labor is minimum wage, and we've kept it purposely pretty low. If it had just kept pace with productivity, it'd be about $23 a share, but we've decided to purposely keep it low. Out of reach, median home price has skyrocketed relative to median household income. As a result, pre-pandemic, the average mortgage payment was $1,100. It's now $2,300 because of an acceleration in interest rates and the fact that the average home has gone from $290,000 to $420,000. By the way, the most expensive homes in the world, based on this metric, are number 3, Vancouver. Why? Because 60% of the cost of building a home goes to permits. Because guess what? The incumbents that own assets have weaponized government to make it very difficult for new entrants to ever get their own assets, thereby elevating their own net worth. This is the transfer I'm going to be speaking about. This has resulted in an enormous transfer of wealth, where people over the age of 70 used to control 19% of household income, versus people under the age of 40 used to control 12. Their wealth has been cut in half. This isn't by accident, it's purposeful. This is me at UCLA in 1987. I know your first thought is I haven't changed a bit. This is also Mia Silverio, who is the analyst that put together these slides. By the way, Mia is 26. I did the math. Just by virtue of her being in this audience, it brings the average age of the entire conference down 11 days. When I applied to UCLA, the admissions rate was 76%. Today, it's 9%. I received a 2.23 GPA from UCLA. I learned nothing but how to make bombs out of household items in every line from Planet of the Apes. And the greatest public school in the world, Berkeley, decided to let me in with a 2.27 GPA. And that's what higher ed is about. Higher ed is about taking unremarkable kids and giving them a shot at being remarkable. And every year, it's gotten more expensive. Higher ed and homes, and the ability, not only is higher ed incredibly expensive, it's not accessible, because me and my colleagues are drunk on luxury, and I'll come back to that. We've embraced the ultimate strategy. Me and my colleagues in higher ed wake up every morning and ask ourselves the same question when we look in the mirror. How can I increase my compensation while reducing my accountability? And we have found the ultimate strategy. It's called an LVMH strategy, where we artificially constrain supply to create aspiration and scarcity such that we can raise tuition faster than inflation. And old people and wealthy people have done the same thing with housing. All of a sudden, once you own a home, you become very concerned with traffic, and you make sure that there's no new housing permits. And here is a memo to my colleagues in higher ed. We're public servants, not fucking Chanel bags.
Hey,
Harvard is the best example of this. They've increased their endowment in the last 40 years and have decided to expand their enrollment, their freshman class, by 4%. Any university.
okay, let's pause real quick. So far, we've had wages have not kept up. Our wages is set back into what, the 1960s? $9.50 when it should be $20. That's just a start. Housing, college costs more. College costs way more, which is crazy to me. So we've already had what, 2 or 3 things hit from the beginning. College costs more, but enrollment has went down. It's went up a little bit. Price for enrollment. So they're creating this false sense of want, saying that the supply is down. A false sense of supply being gone so that the prices all go up. And young people aren't seeing this at all. We have more debt than everyone's ever had to attend college. We have less opportunity coming out of college to get jobs after that because of the amount of experience, so-called, that you need. So it's just a lot of things that young people are taking a hit for. Yeah, like I said, it's crazy. And this is why students feel how they do. This is why young people are so outraged. This is why you see a lot of the movements. It's all young people. Like you said, the Black People Matters, the war in Palestine. So many college students. That's what you see right now, is that war in Palestine. Students are protesting all over America for that one specific reason right now. I see it everywhere. And it never fails. Like I said, even at my college, Georgia Southern University, I'm seeing newsletters on that. So this is what is being pushed by. We don't see opportunity in America right now. So we have the right to be enraged. Young people have the right to be enraged. They just don't see their opportunity. They don't see the American dream. Houses is more. Groceries is more. Living costs more these days. And the future is like, okay, where is it?
That doesn't grow their freshman class faster than population, that has over $1 billion in endowment, should lose their tax-free status because they're no longer in higher education. They're a hedge fund offering classes.
Yeah.
My first recommendation, Biden should take some of that $750 billion earmark to bail out the 1/3 of people that got to go to college on the backs of the 2/3 that didn't, and give $1 billion to our 500 greatest public institutions, size adjusted, in exchange for 3 things. 1, they use technology and scale to reduce tuition by 2% a year, expand enrollments by 6% a year, and increase the number of vocational certifications and non-traditional 4-year degrees by 20%. Where does that?
You know what? I like that. Instead of focusing on everyone on the other side, let's help them out in the beginning. I think that is a great thing. Cause I've been complaining about that student loan stuff forever, but I'm on the backside. Mine is gonna be paid off. It is what it is. But the real problem stems from the beginning, having to take on that debt at such large amount in the first place, especially to get higher education, which should be something that, every American wants a higher education. I think that is a beautiful thing. Reduce tuition, expand enrollments, and I also they gotta do something about certain degrees. You gotta do something about certain degrees. You can't be letting these college pimp people out like this. You can't be letting the colleges pimp people out like that. I like this, though. I like this. Help people out in the beginning. That way they're not struggling on the backside. That's a beautiful thing.
By 6% a year and increase the number of vocational certifications and non-traditional four-year degrees by 20%. Where does that get us? In just 10 years, that doubles the freshman seats and cuts the cost in half. This isn't radical. This is called college in the 80s and 90s. Another transfer of wealth.
That's crazy.
Look at what's happened to wages. Oh, they've gone up, not as much as corporate profits. There's a healthy tension between capital and labor. For the last 40 years, capital has been kicking the shit out of labor. Well, you think, whoa, what about wages, right? They've gone up. Well, if you compare them to the S&P, they barely register. It's been an amazing time to own assets, but your attempt to get the certification or the income such that you can acquire assets has gotten harder and harder. In my class of 300 kids, it's never been easier to be a billionaire. It's never been harder to be a millionaire. By the way, our job in higher ed isn't to identify a top 1% of people who are freakishly remarkable or have rich parents and turn them into a superclass of billionaires. It's to give the bottom 90 a chance to be in the top 10. You know who doesn't need me or higher education? The top 10%. The whole point of higher ed is to give the unremarkables, i.e. yours truly, who was raised by a single immigrant mother, a shot of being remarkable. The transfer has been purposeful. While the cohorts, corporations, and the ultra-wealthy continue to garner more and more of our wealth, we have decided, I know, if they win the gold, let's give them the silver and the bronze, and let's lower their taxes. This transfer is purposeful. It's not by accident. And it works. Senior poverty is way down, and we should celebrate that. Meanwhile, child poverty is flat to up. The third rail, I'm going to talk about Social Security. It would cost $11 billion to expand the child tax credit, but that gets stripped out of the infrastructure bill. But the additional $135 billion a year to Social Security, that flies right through Congress. And every year we transfer $1.4 trillion from a cohort that is increasingly doing less well to the cohort that is the wealthiest cohort in the history of this planet. I'm not against Social Security, but the criteria should be if you need it, not whether you have a catheter.
Just get it. Yep.
80% of you have absolutely no reason to ever take Social Security. It is bankrupting our nation, and we have fallen under this mythology that somehow it's this great social program. No, it's not. It's the great transfer of wealth from young to old.
That's what it is. He's speaking right there. He is speaking right there. It is no reason. Like I said, the old people, they getting paid off taxes. They get paid. The child care, they get scraped. Social Security expanded. But we know why, though. That's the boomers. The largest group to vote ever. The largest group. So they come with it. Hey, we voting for our pockets. That's what they vote for. They vote for their pockets. We voting for our pockets. And of course, when they were young, they were voting for young people things. Now they're old, they're voting for Social Security. They're voting with their pockets. And some of them might not even need it. They still want their check. Still want their Social Security check. It all comes down to that voting. They're trying to keep their money. At that old age, trying to keep that money. They really should just be giving it out. I think it's that is definitely crazy.
How is this happening? Because our representatives are in fact representative. Old people vote. Washington has become a cross between the land of the dead and the Golden Girls.
Gosh, look at this. Dang. Average age up there is definitely 80. Average age up there is 80. And it represents the vote. It represents. I said, if the boomers are all that age, they are voting for people who are giving them what they want. So it's definitely representative. We need some young faces. Come on now.
Quite frankly, This is fucking ridiculous. And if I sound ageist, I am. And you know who else is ageist? Biology. When Speaker Pelosi had her first child, get this, 2/3 of households didn't have color televisions, and Castro had just declared martial law. But she's supposed to understand the challenges of a 17-year-old girl who's 5'9", 95 pounds, getting tips on dieting and extreme dieting from Facebook. She's supposed to understand the challenges that a 27-year-old single mother face.
Sure can't.
By the way, young and dreamy. Young and dreamy. The great intergenerational theft took place under the auspices of a virus. I know. Let's use the greatest health crisis in the century to really speedball the transfer. This is the NASDAQ from 2008 to 2012. We let the markets crash. And by the way, you need churn, you need disruption, because it seeds and recalibrates advantage and wealth from the incumbents to the entrants. It's a natural part of the cycle. But wait, lately, no, 1 million people dying would be bad, but what would be tragic is if we let the NASDAQ go down and guys like me lost wealth. So we pumped the economy, which again increased the massive transfer of wealth. The best 2 years of my life, COVID, more time with my kids, more time with Netflix, and my value of my stocks absolutely exploded. And who has to pay for my prosperity? Not me. Future generations who will have to deal with an unprecedented level of debt. Yep. Why am I here and why do I get the prosperity I enjoy? Because in 2008, we bailed out the banks, but we didn't bail out the economy. We let the markets fall. So as I was coming into my prime income earning years, I got to buy, no joke, these stocks at these prices.
What?
This is where those stocks are now.
But
where does a young person find...
I ain't gonna lie, y'all. This is what I face with stocks. This is what I've been facing. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is exactly what it's like. I do $25 a week outside of the retirement and all that stuff, you know, outside of that for just like personal play or whatnot. At $25 a week, y'all, I was looking, it's gonna take me some time before I get a full stock in anything, you know, because I try to spread it across a couple. It's gonna be some time before I get a full stock in anything. I'm not in Netflix. Y'all see $607? Same thing. Nvidia's real high, and I've been trying to get into that, but at $5 a week, that ain't gonna help a lot. I need something I can really dump some funds into it. And if them prices was like that in 2010, them are on some come up. 14 years. That has. Think about if you got Apple stock at $7. You're getting Apple stock at $7. I mean, hey, even if you got it at $50 or, you know, somewhere, this is crazy. The only problem is with this is that these stocks weren't as big as they are now, neither. Not in 2010. Now they're like full-fledged companies. They are doing the thing. But still, you able to get if over the board it was kind of like this, then I'm definitely hating. I'm hating. I am a hater, cause boy, them folks done came up. Yo, $7 done 25 times. Golly, that is crazy.
Find disruption. When you bail out the baby boomer owner of a restaurant, all you're doing is robbing opportunity from the 26-year-old graduate of a culinary academy that wants her shot. We need disruption. We're economically attacking the young, but I know, let's attack their emotional and mental well-being. Let's take advantage of the fact of the flaws in our species with medieval institutions, Paleolithic instincts, and godlike technology. I'm just going to say, I think Mark Zuckerberg has done more damage to young people in our nation while making more money than any person in history.
Is that a fact? I think social media definitely destroyed a lot of morals. Is one of them that done went out the door. Attention spans done went out the door. Community done went kind of wonky. Because you can find community almost anywhere now. Yeah. Hey, in 2010, we should have definitely got on game. At 2010, got us some stocks in 2010. 12 years old with a stock, I'd be rich today. I wish I would have bought one. Hey, we was definitely lacking. At 12 years old, lacking on them stocks. That is crazy. These old people, they getting that cake and eating it too, boy.
Oh, but wait, what could be worse? It's as if we let an adversary implant a neural jack into our youth to raise a generation of civic, military, and business leaders that hate America.
I'm telling you, TikTok.
How can we be this stupid? All right, this all adds up to a bunch of graphs all headed up into the right. And what are they? What's the first one? Oh, that's self-harm rates, which have exploded, especially among girls, since my colleague Jonathan Haidt pointed out it's really gone crazy since social went on mobile. What's the next one? Teens with depression. The next one, men and women not having sex.
Boy.
Biggest fear of my parents was that I was going to get in too much trouble. My biggest fear, honestly, is that my kids aren't going to get into enough trouble. By the way, my advice to every young person watching this program is go out, drink more, and make a series of bad decisions that might pay off.
You're not lying.
Next graph, cumulative gun deaths. You're more likely to be shot in the United States if you're a toddler or an infant than a cop. Next graph, obesity, way up. By the way, the industrial food complex wants to addict you to shitty, fatty food so they can hand you over to the industrial diabetes complex. We should not romanticize obesity. You're not finding your fucking truth. You're finding diabetes. Overdose deaths, way up. Deaths of despair. When I was in high school, it was drunk driving. Now it's...
All right, let's talk about each and every one of these. Let's talk about them. Self-harm rates have gone up. And teen depression has gone up. That's definitely neck and neck with social media. Neck and neck with social media. People are comparing and contrasting everything. Internet bullying is a thing. And the biggest thing I think with girls, for sure, is to compare and contrast. She has this, she has that, she has this, she has this. I don't have this. Everybody's in the what they're lacking category, because that's what you see on social media, what you're lacking. You don't ever notice what you have because you're comparing it to other people. So you're lacking. You know, that just is what it is, especially with younger people. They are going through that stage. All they see is what they're lacking. They don't see what they have. Only what they're lacking, what they want, what they gain. They're comparing themselves at all times. So self-harm and teen depression with social media, because of what they are allowed to see these days, they're not just comparing to everyone in their hometown. They're comparing themselves to, the supermodel at their age. Now we're going no sex in the past from 18 to 30. Gosh, Lee. That's just because women see now that, I'm not messing with you. You ain't got nothing I want. They comparing themselves. You know, you a small town girl. You see them city boys. So now them small town dudes, they ain't getting none no more. What's up, Fredo, in the building? What's up, Fredo? I see you in the building, man. Appreciate the support for sure. But men and women not having sex going up. I feel bad. Gun deaths going up for young kids. That's just the laws and policy. Everyone can have a gun in the household now. And nobody's probably practicing, safety with it. Obesity done went up. Have y'all seen the workout programs back in the 80s? Did y'all see that workout program? They used to have to do pull-ups. Now kids barely have to be able to walk. And they gonna pass that. They gonna pass. We need to bring back the pull-up challenge. Bring back the pacer test. Bring back the push-up test. I'm telling you, folks used to dread that day when the workout performances used to come. People used to dread that. Yeah, you about to have to run back and forth on this basketball court. You gonna have to run back and forth. I remember I used to kill it, y'all. I used to kill it. You feel me? I was in shape as a kid, as a young boy. I was in shape. I used to kill that thing. These kids these days, I promise you, I don't think they could do it. A lot of them. And then overdosing. It's just drugs going rampant, y'all. It just, especially now, people not being satisfied with what's going on. They want to escape. They getting into drugs, and it's just not good. Yeah, they used to have to run a mile back in the day. Kids used to have to run a mile. Now, I promise you, they probably make them do the 100-meter dash. And it take them kids all day to do that. That pacing, when it came down to it, when you had to do that pacing test and all that stuff, people used to dread that day. Nowadays, I'm sure they say, you ain't making my kid run. Them kids need to get on the track. Put them kids back on the track, man. All they focused on, these kids these days, is they make sure they fit to on their phones. They give them a tablet. Here, do this running simulation on your tablet. We gonna make sure you fit enough to do that. So yeah, obesity definitely done went through the roof. Overdose deaths though, that's definitely sad. That's definitely sad. And I feel like it can't be all the way the kids' fault. It's what they're exposed to. It's the exposure has definitely gone up. And they're just not the same, y'all. It's just not the same.
Kids killing themselves. Young people don't want to have kids anymore. 2/3 of people aged 30 to 34 able-bodied used to decide to have at least one child. It's been cut in half. It's now less than a third.
I'll say this. We might not want kids no more, but everywhere I look, left and right, it's another kid being born. I know a lot of people, they don't want kids, but they be having them. Literally. We might not want kids, but they're still being had. That's one thing that is happening. But, and when you look at the economy, who would want a kid right now? It's a lot that you have to sacrifice in order to have that kid, to support that kid. And a lot of people, they say, and I don't want to go through that. I just don't feel like going through that right now.
27%. As a result, people over the age of 60 in the U.S., pretty happy. People under the age of 30, not so much. Some of the lowest in the free world. What can we do? Nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed with what's right with it. We got the hard stuff figured out. There are programs to address all of these issues that cost a lot of money. That's the hard part. And we have figured this out. In just 5 minutes post an earnings call, we can add $250 billion to the economy. We've got the hard part figured out, the resources. We have the money, but we decide not to do it. This is per capita spending on childcare in the United States relative to other nations. This is housing permits. Things are doable. We increase minimum wage to $25 an hour. It goes into the economy. The wonderful things about low and middle income households is they spend all their money. We have to restore a progressive tax structure with alternative minimum tax on corporations and wealthy individuals. We need to refund the IRS. We need to reform Social Security. It should be based on whether you need the money, not on how old you are. We need a negative income tax. My friend Andrew Yang screwed up a great idea, but he branded it incorrectly. Instead of calling it UBI, he should have got Republicans on board by calling it a negative income tax. We need to eliminate the capital gains tax deduction. When did we decide that the money that capital earns is more noble than the money that sweat earns? Shouldn't it be flipped? We need to remove 230 protection for all algorithmically elevated content. We need identity verification. The reason we can have identity verification is because we have a First Amendment. Break up big tech. We have monopolies that are incurring greater and greater costs on every small business and parents because, again, see above, our representatives don't understand these technologies. We need to age-gate social media. There's absolutely no reason anyone under the age of 16 should ever be on social media.
A lot of this stuff sounds like Europe.
We need universal pre-K. We need to reinstate the expanded child tax credit. We need term limits, see above Andrew Yang. We need income-based affirmative action. Any visible signs of affirmative action make no sense at all. You would rather be born gay or non-white in the United States today than poor, and that's a sign of our progress and our need to recalibrate who we give advantage to. Affirmative action, of which I'm a beneficiary of, I got Pell Grants, I got unfair advantage. Affirmative action is a wonderful thing, and it should be based on color. It should be based on green, how much money you have or don't have. Expand college enrollment in vocational programs, mental health, ban phones in schools, invest in third places, big brothers and sisters programs. We need national service. We need to tell people in the United States and Canada that they live in the greatest countries in the world, and we need to remind them of that every day by exposing them to other great Americans where they feel connected tissue. We can do all of this.
Let's look at the doables. This is a long list of doables. Economics, increase minimum wage, 25. Lord. AMT for high income and corporations, refund IRS, reform Social Security, negative income tax, eliminate capital gains. Y'all, I don't know what economics, y'all. A lot of times, that doesn't sound too much just like Europe. But one thing about Europe is they are taxed very high because they do more for the community than we do here in America. And that's one of their trade-offs. So they don't get paid as much because they have a lot more time at home. They have a lot more vacations. You know, they are literally all this stuff. I feel like the Europeans have kind of figured out a little bit of it. And I think we should, you know, if we copy a little bit more of that in the economics part, we would be happier as a society, like the free health care and all those things. But at the same time, you will be taxed more. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand is you are taxed more when you get a lot of these other social things that come along with it. Technology, break up big techs, age gating, that, you know, you can do that. Political policies, universal pre-K, that would help out. That would help out with people. That just sounds like expanding the education system that we already have, just to pre-K. You feel me? Reinstate, expand the child credit. Yeah, if you have children, you should get a little bit more help. Term limits. Old people should not be running the government. Let's be real. Income-based affirmative action. I feel like that's a thing. It turns it from race to class. Like I said, class is about everything anyway, already. So it just definitely changes it from race to class. Expand college enrollment and programs. That helps all the time. Ban phones in school, interest in third parties, big brother, big sister, national service requirement. All of this stuff would be good for the U.S. people, for especially young people. I think we all would benefit from this. We all could benefit from this. Maybe not older people as much. They're going to have to sacrifice. But if we are talking about the future of the United States, yes. Yes, this would help out a lot.
We can do all of it. We have the resources. The question is, do we have the will? This is my last slide. Exactly. It is an emotionally manipulative slide to try and get you to like me more. But it does have a message. This is the whole shooting match. Anybody here without kids, ask someone with kids. You have your world of work, you have your world of friends, you have your world of kids. Something happens here, your whole world shrinks to this. So I present, as I wrap here, which is a few questions. One, if you acknowledge that our kids are the most important thing in our lives, that everything else we do here is meaningful, but our kids' well-being and prosperity is profound. If you acknowledge that they're doing more poorly than previous generations.
It's crazy.
If you believe there's a chance that the illusion of complexity has done nothing but provide cloud cover for the unbelievable transfer of goodwill, of well-being, and of prosperity from young to old, and if you believe we can actually fix these problems and we have the resources, then I present to you, I posit, I augur the question that I hope has more veracity than it did 17 minutes and 24 seconds ago. And that's the following question. Do we love our children?
Well, that was he spoke a lot on that. He definitely spoke a lot on do we love our children? How the U.S. is destroying young people's futures. I think we definitely need to focus on the future and stop worrying about what happened in the past at this point. With student loans, they've been trying to fix those for years. Why don't we just make college more affordable for the people that come after us? I think it would cost less. We pay more for everything than our parents did. That's just what it is. We can't afford a home at all at this point. We are getting knocked out. And that is literally because older people, they want all the wealth. They want to keep all the wealth. The transfer will come soon. I'm on the part where I think we do need a crash. It needs to crash. And it will be more, once the crash does happen, younger people will be, if we're preparing ourselves correctly, at a better state to be able to afford the things that the older generations have had. But like I said, that won't happen unless older people start thinking about us and stop thinking about the money that is already in their pockets. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment on your way out the door.